Yeah, now I hope you hear me.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me and thank you for giving me the floor. My presentation, are you seeing it? Will be focused on the already discovered civil protection mechanism. I know that the theme of the seminar is the CAFI is strengthening the regional civil protection capacity, but I do believe with what we are doing actually at the European level with the Union Civil Protection Mechanism, that we are going further than the region. Just for you to understand why we are acting under the European Union umbrella in the way we are acting with the civil protection mechanism is due to the fact that the functioning treaty of the European Union, it's having two articles related to disaster and civil protection aspects. One is the article 214, which is creating the framework for the European Union institutions, as well for the European Union member states, to act outside the border of the European Union to provide assistance, relief, and protection to the people in need. And this is how we are explaining actually the shared competences in between EU institution and the EU member states. And the other article in the Lisbon Treaty 196 is that actually European Union encouraged the civil protection, the cooperation between member states for preventing and protecting against natural and man-made disaster. What that means that actually, in fact, it's the responsibility of the member states to provide protection and safety to their own citizens. And the European Union is having just a role of a complementary role. Going back to the civil protection mechanism, you will be surprised that we don't have a definition what the European civil protection mechanism means. At the end is what already have been explained by Dr. Arafat or Pekka, that when an emergency overwhelms national response capacity, the Union civil protection mechanism enable a coordinated assistance provided by the all 27 member states plus 6 participating states, and we have to name it here: Iceland, Norway, Republic of Serbia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, and Turkey. The fundamentals that are the base of the Union civil protection mechanism are the responsibility, solidarity, call for assistance, voluntary, and on top of that we have the Commission according with the legal framework as a facilitator. What that means that the states have the responsibility, as I mentioned already, to secure and safety their citizens. Member states, they have the responsibility to support other affected member states when requested, but since it is an assistance provided from the government to government, we need a request for assistance. We are not acting without a request for assistance. And after the needs have been identified, the member states can provide the offer, and if accepted, then we are in a response mode. What it is also important to mention is that everything is done on voluntary basis. There is a responsibility, of course, but no one can force the member state to provide assistance. The mechanism itself, it's focused in the three dimension. Actually, it is the dimension that usually the disaster management is covering. It's focused on prevention, supporting member states and participating states in preventing risk or reducing the harm to people. It's focused on preparedness, providing a huge training and exercises and exchange of experts possibilities. And on top of that, the core part of the mechanism, if I may say so, is the response, facilitating the cooperation and coordination in responding to disaster inside and outside the European Union. I do believe that how the mechanism is working when it is activated has been already somehow explained by both speakers before. We need, as I said, we need a request for assistance, which is going directly to the ERCC, which is Emergency Response Coordination Center, in the heart of the Europe, in Brussels, which is the hub that coordinate everything. What this is different from other mechanisms is that in fact we are any country in the world can send a request for assistance in one single place, and from there it's already spread it in 33 capitals, where the request is analyzed, and based on the needs the member states and the participating states can provide offer. Then once the offer is accepted, ERCC is also supporting us in deployment, the assistance, and financing, co-financing the transport. Was already mentioned by Pekka. This issue of co-financing the transport, it's an important and very useful tool, especially for small country. European Union, it's an area where you may find rich countries, but also small country, not so rich, and providing assistance from Europe to Haiti, as was in Pekka example. It's not an easy task for a country that cannot afford the high cost of the transport. So therefore, having this tool, it became more easy to provide assistance. This is just to understand what are the type of response solution that we are having at the level of the European Union. So once the national capacity have been used and no more resources at the national level available, although that the situation it's becoming worse, you can send a request for assistance. And the first step, what is happening is that at the EU level, the European Civil Protection Pool is activated, or spontaneous offer. This is so-called the mutual assistance. But what happened when, and we discovered this, that there is also a moment when also this possibility it's not anymore possible, and that was the moment in 2017 we create so-called rescue. Rescue being a safety net that provide us capacities to go beyond the civil protection pool. Civil protection pool being a reserve of resources committed by European member states to respond to disaster inside and outside, that give us, when having such a pool at the disposal of the European Union, you became more predictable, more focused in pre-planned, and you can also provide the quality of assistance that you are providing. You may wonder how we reach this type of solution. Everything happened in 2001 when the mechanism was created. At that time, the Lisbon Treaty was not enforced because the Lisbon Treaty was approved in 2007. So initially in 2001 was more or less a kind of tool that facilitate at that time the exchange of commodities, more or less mutual assistance. But then in 2004, we remember that we have been hit by, we faced the Asian tsunami, and that was a trigger for us to rethink the system. And that was the moment we create so-called civil protection modules. Modules are teams with people, with experts and equipment. Then moving forward, preparing the financial framework, because the European Union, it's functioning in financial in 7 years financial perspective. So preparing the financial perspective to 2014-2020. We also try to, we create the emergency response capacity. We strengthen for the very first time the solution to simply to pooling and co-financing the transport assistance, and working on that. Suddenly in 2017 we discovered that during the forest fire we do not have enough aerial means to extinguish the fire that affected at that time Portugal. That was the trigger when the political master decided to work on the legislation to create so-called nowadays rescue. We also create the European Civil Protection Pool, and we start discussing the EU Union Civil Protection Knowledge Network. And you guess what? During the pandemics, we realized that still many things have to be done. And that was the moment that we create rescue medical stockpiling, as Dr. Arafat already mentioned. We still have in the stockpile protective equipment as well as ventilators, but the stock is growing and growing to be prepared for you never know what kind of events could happen into the future. Everything starts, as I said, in terms of rescue with lack of capacity for aerial forest fires. Now we are having, I believe, good balance of capacity. We have Canadair, we have fixed wings like Canadair, Dash, or Fireboss, but we have also helicopters. But also in this respect, the focus is to increase the capacity available. This is for you just to see how the evolution of activation happened during the years. If in the past we used to have about 20 to 30 maximum activation in a year, starting with 2020, suddenly we had about 100 plus activation, 85% of them being, of course, in the area of COVID response. This year already we reached 72 activation. Out of the 72, 55 are COVID related. As a statistic, till the pandemic situation, most of the activation were in the field of forest fires and floods, but also earthquake and storms. It happened also to be activated also in many other areas. This is for you to understand what was the response of the Union Civil Protection Mechanism when it comes to dealing with COVID. Was already mentioned by the two speakers before. What I want to underline is, in comparing with the nowadays crisis in Afghanistan, was that when the pandemic started, the UCPM support with repatriation of the European, but not only the European, also other citizens from the whole globe back home. Altogether, more than 100,000 people have been returned to home safely, which is happening also nowadays in case of Afghanistan. I already mentioned that the civil protection mechanism is a live instrument. We are working to improve it every single moment. This is some new features that have been introduced following the pandemic crisis. We are working now more focused on disaster resilience goals, but also being focused on disaster loss data, and everything we are planning in time in terms of capability. It's taking very serious disaster scenario planning. Rescue was reinforced after the pandemic with another facility. Now the Commission has the possibility to procure directly assets it's only assets, no module, no staff, only assets, but only in justified cases, but also has the possibility to increase the transport and logistic capacities, as we saw that there is a huge lack of such possibilities when it comes to move protective equipment from all around the globe to Europe. I want, since we are running out of time, I want to focus only on two aspects of the Union Civil Protection Knowledge Network. It is one of the instruments that we are developing under the mechanism with the aim to increase resilience through preparedness. We are creating a knowledge network that has the vision to strengthen the efficiency and effectiveness of the civil protection disaster management in all the phases by bringing together civil protection, disaster management experts, organization, academic world, all together to increase the knowledge in the area, with the objective being to connect, enhance, improve, collect, and stimulate develop shared understanding and create a culture of prevention, preparedness, and response, being having the ambition to create an agile and sustainable knowledge network, which is focused in capacity development, science, research, innovation, but also in horizontal activities. I will skip the very last slide. Thank you very much for your attention, but I will be very happy to answer to your question. This was a very, very rapid presentation. Normally, during the civil protection introductory course, it's more than 1.5 days, and now it was quite impossible to cover all the things in very few minutes. Thank you for your attention. Professor Dogeanu, back to you.